Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Thursday, January 3rd, 2019, and it's 3:39 p.m. Pacific Time. And today we're going to do another earthquake report, but I'd like to start out by just sharing a few pictures with you of where I live. I live in the Reno area, and I've done a lot of hiking in the Mount Rose area, and I've taken a lot of beautiful pictures. And so I decided, since I'm doing these shows every day, or pretty much every day, I'm going to start sharing some of my pictures with you so that you can see the beauty of the area, and you can see the areas that we're talking about on the earthquake map, because this is a geologically active area. And I live near Lake Tahoe. I've got pictures of there. I've got a lot of pictures of the Mount Rose area. I've got pictures of Pyramid Lake. I've been all over the place, and I've done hiking, I've done camping, I've done road trips. I mean, I've really explored this area. So I'd love to share these with you so that you get an idea of where I've been living since 2005. And so this is a picture of one of my favorite trees that I used to go visit when I would go hiking, and it's in the Mount Rose hiking area. And this was in the winter time, and people do hike and adventure in the winter time, not just skiing and snowboarding. And so this was from January 31st of 2009, and you can see the snow on the ground and the tree. I love that tree because it's just standing all by itself, and I think of it as how we have to be. We have to be strong and tall, and even if we stand by ourselves, that's okay. We're not alone. And so I used to go visit that tree a lot. And here's a view of Reno from underneath that. I'm standing underneath that tree, and this is Reno down here in the valley. So it's looking east from, or northeast from there, and there are more mountains over there. And if we zoom in, you can see down here in the valley, and it's built up a lot more since then, but you can see the large buildings. And trying to think, I think that is I'm not for sure, that's the Grand Sierra Resort, and that's right near the airport. And the airport is in the city, so it's really weird living where there's an airport right in the city. So but they don't have any crashes or anything, so that's good. So there's that picture. And this is looking to the south from underneath the tree, and this is looking down in Washoe Valley, and more mountains down here. Carson City is down to the south, and Virginia City is up in the mountains to the south. And so if we zoom in on this one, let's see what we can see here. There's a lake down there. I don't think we can see the lake from this view, but there is a lake there going down. And look at the spraying on that day. This is another view from underneath the tree. And I'm taking pictures of the clouds, and look at the spraying, the chemtrails from that day. I mean, they've been doing it a long time, so this was 2009. For people who are new to the idea of the spraying, it's been around for a long time. And the first time I saw evidence of it and thought there was something unusual and not natural was in the late 90s. So, so we're back to that picture. So I hope you enjoyed my slideshow for you there today, and I'll pick out some different pictures for you for tomorrow. And now I have Copernicus atmosphere monitoring services pulled up, and I haven't showed carbon dioxide in a while, so we're on the PDF version of this carbon dioxide from Monday the 31st, and for whatever reason CAMS is a few days behind on providing methane and carbon dioxide data. All the other data is right on the day. And then the scale is down here at the bottom, and we can see as it goes into the darker browns, it goes higher. Like this color here is 418 parts per million, and then it goes up to, can go up to 1,000 parts per million according to this scale. And then when it goes down into the yellows, it goes down. So where I have my pointer right here with this color, it's 410 parts per million. And this is the total column. And so we can see that it's high around the middle of Africa and over here in Asia, and then it gets higher as you go up in the northern hemisphere. So there it is. And remember, this was the first greenhouse gas or emission that they talked about, the main one causing global warming, and it's going up every year. No matter what they do, it's going up. And then I also have pulled up sulfur dioxide from today, Thursday, and this is total column, and this is the global view. And I wanted to show that we've got new activity down here, and this is in the Indonesia area where we've had a lot more earthquakes kicking up, and then it's coming up really heavy up here in Russia. I don't know what that's from. China and Russia, they kind of, the border is there, and it goes on up, or maybe this is China and then Russia comes on up there. I get a little confused sometimes, so pardon me on that, but yeah, I think this is China, but I think that's from all the pollution, but they're having some earthquakes too, so we're going to see the earthquakes where you're seeing these the sulfur dioxide coming up. You're going to see the earthquakes as well. So now let's go to the comments that have come in since my video yesterday, and under my video from yesterday, Environmental Coffee House, and that's Sandy Shellis, says, "Hey Margo," and I say, "Hey Sandy." And then this next comment was just so beautiful from Laura Sartori. I don't know, this is not a name I'm real familiar with. I don't know if she's commented before or not. I can't remember. But she says, "I really can't thank you enough. You put so much into your posts. It's not in vain. You make it possible for others to understand what is happening with our Earth. Thank you, thank you. You're in my heart every day. And say thank you, Laura. I'm so happy for your comment. And when I read your comment, Laura, I mean, it just really made me feel good that you're able to get so much out of these videos, and that you're just such a gentle soul and gentle spirit. And so thank you for reaching out and leaving that wonderful comment. And I always like good comments like that. And then Sensible Hair says, cheers, Margo. And he leaves that under a couple of videos. So cheers to you, Sensible Hair. So there's that. And now let's get right to our earthquake report. It's been quite active today. And they're still coming in. They're still coming in around the world. And this is one day all magnitudes around the world, 262 earthquakes. And we can see them red coming in, all on these red lines. And they're ramped up back in Russia. We had 2 down here in the South Sandwich Islands. We had 2 down here near New Zealand, and a lot more in Indonesia and China, and this one here in Japan here, this one in China, and then some large ones up here in Alaska. And see, they're coming, more coming in the United States. So we're going to start with the 2.5 magnitude, and let's go down here to the bottom. When I finished my report, as I was uploading it yesterday, this big one came in. This 5.1 came in at the South Sandwich Islands, right down here on the red line. And that was at 4:03 p.m. And or maybe that came in right at the end of our report. But we had another one come in of 5.4 at 4:47 this morning down there, and it was at 133 kilometers deep. So you can see that they're right on this red line coming around, and I don't think it was on any land mass. It's in the water there, so that was good, as far as it didn't cause damage or deaths or anything like that. So let's go over here. Let's see. Let's go up to South America next. They've had 2. They had this one of 4.3 at Padilla, Bolivia, 602 kilometers deep. I think that came in right at the end of my video, or as I was uploading it. I really can't remember. I'm doing so many of these. So that's quite deep. And then a 4.9 at Moyobamba, Peru, at 42.7 kilometers deep. Then over here, New Zealand got hit. Actually, not on land, but you know, New Zealand has 2 islands. They've got the north one and the south one. Auckland and Wellington are on the North Island, and then the bigger island, the one on the south, is down here. And this is where these 2 earthquakes came in. There was a 4.7 that came in. It's 14 kilometers deep last night at 7:25 p.m. my time. And then they had a 4.1 that came in directly to the west off the coast near Te Anau, New Zealand, and that was last night. Hang on. That was last night at 9:07 p.m. my time, 10 kilometers deep. So you can see these are right on that red line. So those got reported by USGS. And I know a lot of earthquakes don't get reported over here. They're reported on other systems. I can only cover one, though. I know Dutch Sense and other people cover other reporting systems. I can barely keep up with one, so okay, now let's look at Indonesia and go around. Here was a 4.4. Now these were in the ocean. Now remember, we saw the sulfur dioxide coming up. Let's go back to our sulfur dioxide map and see where that was. Okay, it was, let's zoom in on this and scroll over. Okay, it was to the north of Java. That part there that came up, it was to the north. So let's go back over here, and so what we saw was up here, and a lot of times the sulfur dioxide will be released near where an earthquake is gonna come up, gonna happen, or a volcano. So it may not be exactly where it was, but a lot of times I'll see the sulfur dioxide as a precursor. It comes up first, and then there's the earthquake. So there was the 4.4 at Bambalapura, Indonesia, or off the coast there. Here was a 4.5 south of Java. These are not very deep. This one was 8 kilometers. The other one was 10. Here's this one right on the red line of 4.6 in the ocean, south of that island there. It says 224 kilometers south-southwest of Pananggodi, Indonesia, 38 kilometers deep. Then there was one right up here, a 4.7, 45 kilometers west-southwest of Amahusu, Indonesia, 53 kilometers deep. And then this one up here, this one came in right at midnight. Or I'm sorry, at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock this afternoon, not midnight. This was a 4.0, 106 kilometers northwest of Tobelo, Indonesia, 58 kilometers deep. So this was very active, in the 4s range, high 4s. And then let's go over to this one in China. We had a 5.2 at Zhongjian, China, and this was yesterday at 4:48 p.m. my time, 10 kilometers deep. So it was after I'd finished my report that came in, and so when you zoom in, you can see the towns around there. So I don't know if that's a populated area or not. It doesn't look like it is, but you never know. 5.2, that was sizable, and that could have caused damage. Then down here we have 2 that have happened at Taiwan. This one happened on the mainland. 4.8 happened this morning at 10:02 my time, 10 kilometers deep, and it was 20 kilometers northwest of Taitung City, Taiwan. Then this one just came in at 4.3, 24 kilometers east-northeast of Taitung City, Taiwan, 47 kilometers deep. And then there was another one right out here in the ocean of 4.8. This was 108 kilometers north of Ishigaki, Japan, and that happened at 7:34 this morning my time. It was 122 kilometers deep. Here's Ishigaki down here. So these are Japanese islands down here. So there's that. And then coming on up to Japan mainland, there was a 4.2, 7 kilometers southeast. 4.7, 7 kilometers southeast of Omuta, Japan, 10 kilometers deep. Then, okay, so that's all over here on the West Pacific down here. And then we're coming on up into the Russia area. Remember this area with, I'll get rid of that sulfur dioxide in the background. That's kind of annoying sometimes. Remember, we had a big one right up here, a little, week or two ago. I can't remember. This one is 5.3 south of Kamchatka. It was 80 kilometers deep. This was at 12:46 today, my time. This one was a 5.0. It looks like it was on the mainland. It was 79 kilometers east-northeast of Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky, Russia, 68 kilometers deep. And then these up here, there was a 5.4 in the ocean here, 10 kilometers deep, 4.3, 10 kilometers deep, and 4.3, 10 kilometers deep. So that's picking back up. That's all on this red line. And here's one up here in the Aleutian Islands, a 2.6 at Adak, Alaska, 47 kilometers deep. So there's those. Now let's go to the Dominican Republic next. Remember, we're still on earthquakes 2.5 magnitude and higher, and there have been 5 in the Dominican Republic of this magnitude. There was a 3.0 British Virgin Islands, 2.9 Puerto Rico, 3.5, that's getting up there, British Virgin Islands, 3.0 Dominican Republic, 3.9, I think that's the highest one we've seen so far, La Romana, Dominican Republic. That's the largest one today, in our view today. Now, while we're here, let's zoom in to that area with all magnitudes and see if there's some more. Okay, here was a 2.1 Puerto Rico, 2.1 Puerto Rico, 1.6 Puerto Rico, and that's the rest of them. So there's that. Yeah, this little one showed up right down here. So there's those. Now let's go up to Alaska next. And I don't think there were any smaller ones down here. No. Let's go to Alaska and then we'll go to the United States. We'll start with our 2.5 magnitude and higher, and we've seen an uptick in the magnitudes here in the last couple of days up here in Alaska. Here's one that happened in the Beaufort Sea. We don't see these very often. It was a 3.5 and it was right off the coast. It's 34 kilometers west-northwest of Koktovik, Alaska, 55 kilometers deep. So there's sea ice up there. Ice has come back there, so that was under the ice there. And we saw that one down in the Aleutian Islands. So here we have 15, 2.5 magnitude and higher in our viewing area. I'm going to start at the bottom. Here's a 2.5 at Redoubt Volcano, 2.6 Anchorage, 3.4 Anchorage, 2.6 Big Lake, 3.3 Big Lake, 2.5 Anchorage, 2.5 Talkeetna, 2.9 Talkeetna, 2.6 Talkeetna. Now this one was quite a bit deeper. It was 161 kilometers deep. The 2.5, this 2.5 was 123 kilometers deep. Okay, 2.5 Big Lake, 3.6 Anchorage, 2.8 Talkeetna, 103 kilometers deep, 4.2 Larsen Bay, right down here. Let's zoom in on that. It was actually on the land. It says it was 114 kilometers north of Larsen Bay, and it was 85 kilometers deep. This happened at 10:51 this morning, my time. So, where were we? So there was the 4.2, and then 2.6 Big Lake, and 3.6 Sutton Alpine, right here, Alaska. So there's those. Now let's go over to all magnitudes for Alaska. There's no more in the north. Then there's no more in the Aleutian Islands. So let's go over here and see how many we've had. There's 64 total. For all magnitudes. So let's just kind of scroll through. You've already seen the big ones, so these are in the 1s and 2s. Obviously, if we've already seen 2.5 and higher, but a lot of getting on up to 2s, like 1.9 Big Lake, 1.9 1.6, 1.6, and so forth. So we're seeing them peppered around. Let's zoom into Anchorage. Here's the Anchorage area, and we can see they're clustered up there still. That seems to be a hot spot for these earthquakes, not volcanoes. If I ever say volcanoes and I'm showing earthquakes, you know I had a brain fart. So these are over at Lazy Mountain. This is Valdez 2.1, and here's a 1.6 at Lazy Mountain. We saw that one, the 3.6 at Alpine. Here's a 3.4 that was right in the water there, the bay, the Cook Inlet. So there's those. Now let's go down to the United States, and we're going to start on the east side and work our way across. Here's a 1.7 at Decatur, Tennessee, and here's a 1.9 at Caruthersville, Missouri. Now remember, this is in that New Madrid hazardous area. If we turn on U.S. hazard area, you can see that that's right in the center. And the one in Tennessee was in a yellow area, so that's not in, it's in a hazardous area, but not like the red line, but it was in a yellow area. So we can see it's right in the center of that New Madrid seismic zone. So let's leave that on as we go up to, or work our way across. Here was a 2.4 at Pawnee, Oklahoma. Here was a 2.7 at Mentone, Texas, 5 kilometers deep. That's kind of, it's between Midland and Odessa. That's oil, a lot of oil drilling down there, and El Paso. And there's not much of anything out there. It's probably from oil drilling. But anyway, now let's go up to our Yellowstone area. We can see that's over into Washington. So let's stick with right here. We've got 9 earthquakes on the map here. I'm going to start at the bottom. 1.1, Big Sky, Montana. 1.2, Big Sky, Montana. Now these were in, now the first one was at yesterday. This one was at 5:23 p.m. my time, and then the next one was at 5:47 p.m. So just, 20 minutes or so later. So right in the, it's showing up the same dot. I mean, it was like, let's see. Oh, look, there was a whole bunch of them. There was a whole cluster right there. They were called different things, but they're all at that same place. So when you zoom in, you can see, I'm going to turn this color off so we can see that better. When you zoom in, you can see that they were kind of all together there. So this was 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 0.9. So all in the same area. So let's zoom out and see what else we can see here. Then there was this one on the border. This is right in the middle of Yellowstone. 1.8, West Yellowstone, Montana. Here's one. 1.2, Manhattan, Montana. It looks like it was northwest of Bozeman. Here's one. 1.1, Dillon, Montana. So we can see an uptick here. They're definitely upticking. Here's a 1.5 at Lincoln, Montana. So we got we got the Manhattan one. Here's one at a minus, it was a minus 0.1 magnitude south of Butte, Montana. So that was a very small one. And we got the Dillon, Montana. So there's those. Now let's go over to Washington State. We've got a few over here to look at. Here's this little one right on the river. 1.8. Oh, this is Oregon. At Umatilla, Oregon. And this is a minus 0.5 kilometers deep. So this was up in a mountain or hillside. 1.3 Royal City, Washington. Here's a little one. 1.0 Packwood, Washington. Here's one down here. Uh, 0.7 Morton, Washington. Here's Mount St. Helens directly to the west. Remember that blew some years back. That's a volcano. And so this is not very far. It is not very far at all from Mount St. Helens. So that was a 0.7 and that was 13 kilometers deep. Let's see if that's all of them up here. I think so. Yeah. See if there's any up in Canada while we're here. I didn't see any earlier. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me on these earthquake reports, and I started doing them just so I'd have a record of them, because I was looking at them every day and I couldn't remember from one day to the next, and so I decided I'd just record them while I'm doing them and put them up. So I hope you're getting benefit out of it, and we can learn more about our world and get a geography lesson, and now you're going to get pictures and all kinds of stuff too. Here was a 1.2 at Mount Pleasant, Utah, 11 kilometers deep. And now let's come over to California and Nevada. Let's start up here and work our way across today. I like to kind of change it up. Here's a 2.3 at Red Bluff, California, 0 kilometers deep, so that was at the surface. Here's a 2.1 at Redwood Valley, California, at minus 0.1 kilometers deep. That was up in a mountain. Here are the geysers. There are 5 on the map today at the geysers. They're small. They're looks like a 0.8 up to 1.5. And well, let's do California first. Let's just go on down the coast and work our way back up while I'm here. And then we'll come on down this San Andreas fault line, this red line, and that's precarious, seeing all these earthquakes here. Here was a 1.3 at Tres Pinos, 3 Pines, 1.1 at Pinnacles. here's looks like a cluster. Here's 3 here, 0.9, 1.8, and 2.0. This is at Pinnacles, or east of Pinnacles, California. So that's in the mountains there, right next to that red line. Here is 2.1, San Ardo, California. Here is 1.8 at Cayucos, California. Now we're coming on down. Here's a 1.4 near Taft, California, 23 kilometers deep. Now we're coming into Southern California. Here's Los Angeles. Let's see if I missed. Okay, I missed these up here. Right here at the bottom of the mountains. Tehachapi, we have 3 of 1.3, 1.4, and 2.1. Here's one. Here was a quarry blast, a 1.5. 7 kilometers south of Mojave, and it was minus 0.8 kilometers deep, so that was up on a hill or in a mountain or something. So they're blasting, you know, and that'll cause earthquakes, and that'll cause more earthquakes. We've seen that. Okay, now we're coming on into, oh, let me get that one. 0.1, Coso Junction. So there was our quarry blast. Now we're coming on down into the Los Angeles area. Here's that stack in the Kauai, near the Kauai area. Let's go over to this map for a second. The largest one down in this area was a 3.1 and 8 kilometers northeast of Aguanga, California, 2.6 kilometers deep. Last night at 7:32 p.m. So let's look at it was right down here in this area. See, this Aguanga area is where we're seeing all those earthquakes piling up, and there are 83 earthquakes on this map. You wouldn't know it. Seriously, you wouldn't know it. But it says 83. So most of them are piled up right there. This looks like a blast. When you see the little diamonds, that's a blast. Here's a quarry blast at Ocotillo Wells, California, minus 1 kilometers deep. That's up in a mountain again. So they're busy blasting. Very busy. So let's just zoom in. Look at all of these piled up. See, this is increasing, and here's that big one, the 3.1, and now there are 68, including the ones up here and here and here. And from Dutch Census reports, he says this is the area in Southern California where the slow slip is happening with the plates, with these small, tiny earthquakes. And you can see they're tiny as I'm scrolling through. Like here's a 0.3, and then they go up into the ones. And here's a 2.2. They're all in the same area, but he says that eventually a big one will happen when these kind of build up enough, unless the pressure is released further away. So it just seems like they're really increasing. There's a 3.1, and there was a 0.1. That's the lowest one we had over here. So, and that's right next to this Kauai Indian Reservation. Look, Billy Goat Mountain right down here. So I'm not going to go over every single little one. I mean, we'd be here all day. I don't see any down here in Mexico. So let's come up the east side and hit Nevada as we come up this east side of California. Here's one very near Las Vegas. This just came in a 1.1 at 3:31. Yeah, 3:31 p.m. Summerlin, South Nevada. And then they're just dotted around. This is near this part of the Nevada test site, where they do the underground testing of nuclear bombs and things. So they're small. Here's a minus 0.3. So these are small, minus 0.2, minus 0.4. So you never know what they're doing down there. So here's these down here at Long Valley, 0.3 over here by Bishop, 0.2 Mammoth Lakes, 0.7 Tom's Place, 1.0 Mammoth Lakes, 0.8, 0.7, 0.8, all at Mammoth Lakes. Tom's Place is the same as Mammoth Lakes. Here's one at Mono Lake, 1.3. So let's come on up. Here's down in the Hawthorne area. We can see an increase. There are 19 earthquakes here from here was a -1, a microquake. These are all small. You know, who knows what's going on there? I mean, there might be underground facilities there, for all I know. I don't know. They could be tunneling, they could be mining, they could be doing a lot of things. So, it's anyone's guess. You know, the people who know are in a secret club and we're not in the club. That's the deal. Here's a 0 magnitude earthquake at 0 kilometers deep at Johnson Lane, Nevada. Carson Indian Colony. So it's south of Carson City. Now, let's go up here, north of Lake Tahoe. We've got two right here. We've got a 0.8 and a 1.0 up here in the mountains, near Mount Rose. And by the way, if you hear, if you watch Dutch Sense and he talks about Sunflower Peak, I've hiked, I know Sunflower Mountain. That's part of the hiking area I used to hike in. So it's, I can show you kind of the area where that is when we zoom in. Okay, here's Mount Rose Highway, and see where it starts going up into the mountains? That's where it starts. Now here's Arrow Creek Country Club, and then the mountains, the foothills start right past that Arrow Creek Country Club. That's a big development. A lot of people live there. It's very elite and everything. You have to have a lot of money to live there. Here's Mount Rose. The Mount Rose hiking area is like this whole area. It's a huge area, and the hiking starts down here in the foothills, and then it goes up. And I used to know all the trails, and I hiked to the top of Mount Rose by myself. The first summer I was here. It's 10,700 feet high. And anyway, it's the first time I came here and I saw Mount Rose, the Mount Rose area in Lake Tahoe. I'm like, I'm home. I knew I'm home, and this was it. And I moved here within 2 weeks, and after that, and I've been here ever since. Now here's the steamboat area where they talk about the steamboat springs and everything. Geiger Grade Road goes up to Virginia City, and Steamboat Hills, and they do provide geothermal energy for the Reno area, but that's on the other side of this Mount Rose Highway. And so when you're on this north side, it's hiking, and when you're on the south side, it's other stuff, pretty much. So, just in case people wanted to know. And the sunflower, now see where the roads stop? That's where you start getting into the hiking areas. Anyway, I've been on Sunflower Mountain, and there's nothing there. It's part of the National Forest, just in case anybody's wondering. So, I don't see anything else. Oh, here's this one up here at Fernley, a 1.0. This is a new one. Now, we saw another one there yesterday, so that's east of Fernley. Now, you know, I did a couple of shows talking about the Heart of the Beast in that Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, that's industrial park that's being built. It's down here. It's before you get to Fernley. So here's Fernley down here. So that Tahoe Reno industrial area is being built along here. And then you get to Fernley, and then so these earthquakes have happened further out, and so I don't know what's causing that. They could be blasting. I think there's mining out there. And then here's one east of Fallon, and we talked about Fallon, that there's a naval base out there. And I think that's about it. We got all those. Got the 2.1. I think we got everything of significance. Let's zoom out and see what came in while we were doing our report. We got some new ones up here in Alaska. Now it looks like, okay, Pawnee Caruthersville, Tennessee. Okay, I'm just kind of like going over everything. Yeah, we got those. Oops, came too far. Let's see what's going on recently up here. These are, okay, here's 1.8 in Aguanga, California. That's at the piled up area in Southern California. 2.1 Big Lake, Alaska. These are up in Alaska. 1.3, 2.1, 1.6, 0.8 Aguanga, 1.1 Summerlin South, and so forth. Yeah, we got those. We got all of those. So I think that's it. So until next time, my name is Margo. I do believe that time is very short, and the best way to prepare for whatever is coming is spiritually, and I recommend that everyone get their spiritual houses in order, because no one knows the day or the hour. And until next time, go in peace. God bless everyone, and I'll talk to you real soon. Goodbye.